Hello everyone, this is Joanna from My Planet My Life. Welcome, glad to see you again, or thank you for stepping by if this is your first time. Today I want to talk about gardening and growing your own food. This has also become a series, so if you're interested in that, please stay tuned for more videos on this topic. Recently I have been hanging out with Jon Walsh, who is urban farming and sustainability consultant based here in Tokyo. I have visited his garden and also learned a few useful things. So that's the theme for today. I'm going to share the lessons from Jon Walsh. Stay tuned. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you probably noticed that I've got into a little bit of balcony gardening. Kind of by accident when I started composting with worms, and surprise, surprise, some of the food scraps actually started growing. So this has been very exciting. Please check that series out, Vermicomposting Adventures. It's been really fun, and more updates coming on that soon too. I have done a little bit of gardening on my balcony in past years. I have grown mostly herbs such as basil, dill, parsley, as well as tomatoes. That was a real adventure, especially when they started climbing and I had to create some nets and strings. It was really fun. And what else did I grow? Kale! I had a small kale production, which at some point, I think that was around the winter. Kale is very sturdy, so we can grow it more or less throughout an entire year. It fell victim to birds. Actually, it was really thrilling when I finally figured out that it was birds. And that happened when they got caught red-handed. It was this guy. So if you see them around, beware, they like kale. So let's begin. Lessons from Jon. Let's start. Growing period or growing season has been something I've been pretty much oblivious of. I actually never cared, never ever. But if you want to do it properly, if you buy your seeds, on the packet you will see information about when you should sow the seeds. Usually it's a period of time, and then you will also see more or less after how long you will be able to harvest. So again, you can find this information on the seeds packets. It's probably best to follow that because that takes into consideration the weather conditions, the heat, temperature, as well as a growing cycle, I guess, of the plant. As we can imagine, right? Some plants take longer to grow, some plants take shorter. So if it's the fast-growing plants, such as baby leaves, for instance, then we don't have to care much about that. If it's ones that take longer to grow, then you probably should check the information and follow that. The space you provide for your plants is also something that we should keep in mind. So that means two things. First of all, you need to have enough space, right? So that also goes back to choosing the right plants to grow. If we're talking about balcony, right, of course, we are very limited. If you have a piece of land, then you will have more flexibility. So in terms of planters, of course, you need to choose the right size. So again, growing herbs, then maybe you don't need as huge ones, but let's say if you go into potatoes, carrots, or root vegetables, you will need the larger ones where the plants will have more depth. There's also important point that's related to sowing, right? So some plants grow bigger, some need more space in between each other. So this is a point that everyone should consider. Now, to be honest, I have never cared about that. I've been going pretty wild with my gardening, and that applies to literally everything. I never cared about the periods of sowing or planting, or the growing season or length. I never cared about spacing. Literally just sprinkle the seeds, or yeah, I know we should cover them with soil, about that later, right? I will just do random stuff. Wild, and it has worked to a certain degree, but again, if you want to do it properly, and that's what Jon taught me, that's the way to go. Once you have chosen the plants that you want to grow, you have the right planters. Next ingredient to the mix is soil, of course. If you are just starting, of course you will go and buy new soil. So I use this one, organic. It's really good. Earthworms approved. Now, why do I say that? Because when I put them in a different soil, just regular non-organic soil I was using previously when I was growing things on my balcony, they literally tried to escape. So definitely for some reason they didn't really share. They didn't like it. However, when I placed them into this soil, they stayed, they didn't try to escape. So really, earthworms approved. Has been working really, really well for me. Now, if you don't care about organic, of course, you can buy anything anywhere in any home center or even drugstores. Sometimes I see selling soil. So that's a way to go. If you can see inside, some of them have like this clear window, right, through which you can see the soil in the bag. Go for the darkest possible. That usually means that the soil is rich in nutrients. Now, if you have been growing things in previous seasons and you want to restart, you need to refresh your soil. And to do that, there are two ways. One, you will buy new soil and then mix old and new together. Second way, you will add fertilizer. Now, I'm personally not into artificially derived chemical based fertilizers, so if you're into that, you're free to use it. Now, what I mean when I talk about fertilizer is your scraps. That's the real stuff, and that's the stuff that will really increase nutrients in your soil, which will later translate into healthy and rich produce. Okay, you have your gear prepped. You have seeds, you have soil, you have planters or pots ready to go. Start sowing. First step, once you put soil into your pots, again, we're talking about balcony version of gardening. What you need to do is make sure that the surface of the soil is flat. Why is that? Because when it rains or when you water, if you have some kind of dips, water obviously will gather in those places, and that can compromise your plant growth, because some of them will be drowning in water and other parts will be more dry. So you want to avoid that. Once you make the surface flat, you use your finger. Yes, very useful tool. And tip of the finger, which would be not more than 2 centimeters, you make hole, of course, keeping in mind the right spacing, which again you can check on the packet of your seeds, or if you bought Japanese seeds and you can't read, or Google Translate is not very helpful there, it's really easy to find information on the internet. So keeping in mind the spacing, you make the holes with your finger. Now, next you take seeds. Big question is, how many seeds in one hole? Usually, the rule of thumb is 2 to 3. Sometimes the seed packets will also have that information. Another thing you can often read is the rate, the percentage of germination, I think that's the word, meaning how many percent of the entire packet, right, the producer guarantees more or less, right, will actually sprout. So what I have seen so far is values between 60 to 80%, right? So if you put 2 or 3 seeds in one hole, you will probably get at least one to actually grow. With some seeds, like with my cucumbers this year, 100%. So I have a mini cucumber jungle at this point. Make holes, put 2-3 seeds or more. You can refer to the packet information, and then next step, very important, make sure to cover, right, the seeds, the holes with soil. Lastly, water. This is very, very important, so please do not forget about that part. Again, depending on the plants that you chose to grow on your balcony, or in your garden for that matter, you might need some other things to support your plants. That can be sticks, nets, so especially for plants that are climbing variety, which can be cucumbers, potatoes, not, what am I saying? Tomatoes are climbing, or anything that grows pretty tall and would need some kind of support, especially when they grow fruits, which then adds weight to the plant. If you grow smaller things, herbs, all kinds, or flowers, edible flowers, of course nothing extra is needed. You will do just fine with seeds, soil, and pots. And of course, lots of sunshine, water, and some love. Lastly, start now. Is the best period. First of all, it's always the best when you get a thought to do that, just go and do it. Don't wait, don't overthink, get ready and do it. Second reason why I'm saying start now is because here in Tokyo we have a rainy season starting now. Even though it looks really beautiful and sunny today, rainy season has arrived. So, based on what I heard from Jon, this is great time to get your seeds in the soil because the conditions are amazing during this period. It's warm, it's wet and moist. Perfect conditions for plant growth. So they're literally exploding. It's been super exciting to see that also on my balcony. So if you're watching this from Tokyo and you have at least a little bit of interest or curiosity, do go out there, buy your seeds, get your soil and get going. It's super exciting, it's super fun, and I can guarantee you will feel very much thrilled and also proud of yourself that you've grown some of your food, even though it might be just basil, something very small. It doesn't matter. It brings a lot of joy, and it really doesn't take much time to take care of. So get into it, try it. All these learnings come from Jon Walsh, Tokyo-based consultant and professional in urban farming and sustainability. Do make sure you connect with him. He's a really awesome guy and has a lot of passion for the topic, which is almost tangible when you talk to him. And that also makes it even more exciting to interact and learn from him. Now, I personally, as I said, I've been going pretty wild with my gardening, lots of experimentation, never followed the rules, never even wondered what the rules are. So it's really useful that I actually learned the proper way of doing things. Now, if you like to be adventurous and whatever the rules, let's just try. Of course, you're free to do that. That's what happened to me. Like I said, I started composting this year, and I had some scraps, growing. I didn't even know what they might be. And turns out now I have 3, 4, 5, 6 pumpkin plants with which I will have to be super creative. I didn't expect the pumpkin plants grow as huge as they do. So lots of innovation underway on how to manage that on my balcony. Once again, this was Joanna from My Planet, My Life. Please make sure you connect with Jon. He has lots of information, advice, workshop courses online and in person. So get into that, get in touch with him. And I hope you'll come back for more. I will be doing more videos and talking more about gardening on balcony, and also updating you on my wild adventures with my earthworms and plants and anything else. If you have comments, questions or anything, please feel free to comment down below this video. Please subscribe if you'd like to get notifications. I'm always grateful for you to coming back here to check those videos. Thank you very much and have a day that matters.